This Michigan football team is going to take on a top 10 opponent for back-to-back weeks. That is coming up on Saturday. Michigan headed out to Bloomington, Indiana to try to not lose to Indiana for the second time this decade after going, 33 years in between losses, 1987 all the way to 2020. That game is on CBS, 3:30 p.m. Eastern. Michigan is 2-touchdown underdogs. Top story today here in the Michigan Football Report. We have got an info dump. The DMs and the text messages have been flying back and forth over the last really 2 or 3 days, but just this afternoon I was able to kind of stop, focus, get some intel, and I'll tell you at least what I know. Other people might know other things, but tell you at least what I know in the situation. We've been trying to be as plugged in as we can ever since we made that $1 million offer to Bryce Underwood, about a month ago or so, Jack? And we'll let you know what we know. Let's connect, though. Get on Twitter, a.k.a. X. I'm going to follow back the first 10 people who follow me after publishing this show. We're filming right here around 6:30 Eastern on Wednesday. Probably publish about 7 o'clock Eastern. So if you're watching on Wednesday night, get in there. Give me a follow at James Yoder. I'll follow the first 10 people back. If you already follow me, though, either reply to a tweet or DM me. Just say, follow me back, and I'll consider that the same thing if I don't already follow you. It is the Michigan Football Report. We got a lot to talk about this team coming up right now. Jack, the people have been saying, Yoder, did you quit? Yoder, did you do something else? Where have you been? Where are the shows, daily shows in 2021, 22, 23 season? Jack, we finally got to the edge at the end today. I don't know if you know this, Jack, but I am leading the hiring charge here at Chat Sports. Made 6 hires over the past 3 weeks, and now we're kind of done hiring for a little while, so I can go back to doing more of this show. So good news for you guys. Good news for the audience numbers. Numbers have kind of been going down year over year, but we will be back as the hiring spree that I have been in charge of is now behind us. Let's take a look at this game before we jump into the Bryce Underwood information news dump. Michigan is a 14.5-point underdog to Indiana. And that seems pretty reasonable, right? If this team, if it said Washington, or if it said Oregon, or if it said Ohio State, or Michigan State, or Penn State, if it wasn't Indiana, that would be no question. Maybe they'd be a 17 or 21-point favorite over Michigan. Over-under is 50. Nationally televised game there in Indiana at IU at Memorial Stadium. Coming up on Saturday. Michigan trying to not fall below 500 in the Big Ten after going 3 years with only losing one Big Ten game. So what the record would be, 9-10 with the Big Ten championship. That's 3. I'm just off the top of my head. I think they're like 29-1 over the last 3 years. Now they were 3-3 in the Big Ten. Go back to that prior graphic really quick, Jack. I want to point out one interesting thing, right? With Indiana having a first-year head coach in Curt Cignetti, whatever his name is, coming from James Madison, they have the number 2 scoring offense in all of college football, right? And this isn't after 1 game or 2 games or 3 games. I get they haven't played anybody, yada, yada, yada. This is 9 games in, 75% of the way through the regular season. Number 2 scoring offense in college football, but also the number 7 scoring defense. Conversely, though, Michigan, number 116, the 116th best scoring offense. Basically, was that 15 from the bottom. And then still the defense, which is supposed to be the strength of this team, giving up more points than Michigan, scoring 23.3. That is 57th in all of college football. Michigan's going to take on their 4th top 15 team of the season. They are 1-2 in those games. Remember, we had number 3 Texas. You had number 11 at the time, USC, coming to the Big House. Michigan lost, of course, to Oregon this past weekend, number 1 Oregon, and now they're going for the road. So 1-2 in those games. They try not to fall to 1-3. I want to take a vibe from you guys, a little vibe check. I thought Michigan performed better than I would have expected against Oregon, knowing everything we saw coming on this season so far. And they had a chance to really cut into the lead, cut it to a 1-score game with, 5-6 minutes left in the game. Couldn't get it done. Questionable play calls by Sherrone Moore, by Kirk Campbell. Will Michigan beat Indiana? Just go down in the comments. Let me know yes or no. Taking a vibe check from this team as they have completed 9 games. Have a bye week next week. 3 games to go left in the regular season. Can this team make a bowl game is the question. But this question is yes or no. Will they beat Indiana? Injuries continue to pile up. As you know, Jair Hill and Will Johnson both missed the game. Michigan missing players all over the offensive line. You had Evan Link back in there because of injuries this past weekend. And it's really hurting this team, right? It's just there's no joke about that. I think there would have been a more competitive game, but I'm not sure what would have changed But when you have both Will Johnson and Jair Hill out against Oregon, I think they were already up against it. So I do give them a little bit of credit. I do think there was some coaching malpractice that happened from Wink Martindale on third down to the offensive play calling, especially in the fourth quarter, and to the special teams where Michigan gave Oregon another scoring drive and basically gave the ball back to them after they had to punt by not knowing the lining up over the long snapper rules. But that is Michigan, that is Indiana, and that's really all we're going to talk about that for the moment. We'll have some more later on the show, but let's talk Bryce Underwood. He will be visiting LSU this weekend. They've got the game of the week in college football. They will be taking on Alabama, and really a loser leaves town game in a lot of people's considerations for the college football playoff. LSU loses this game, they're likely out. Alabama, same thing. So one of those teams is going to kind of find their way out of this college football playoff. But their offensive coordinator, he might be leaving town before Bryce Underwood even gets there. So let's talk what we know. Michigan is going all in for him, right? You had Carter Smith, the top 200, 250 four-star quarterback from Florida, who decommitted last week. And there's a lot of, okay, he's decommitting. Why is he decommitting? I'm not saying because he knows something about Bryce Underwood, but it could just be like, well, hey, I've been here. I've been committed to you guys for a year. Why are you offering this guy $1 million, $2 million, $4 million and offering me basically nothing? Derek Meadows, right? Pretty interesting side note, committed to LSU as well. Top 100 player. Some call him a 5-star, but he's a consensus 4-star top 100 player. He was in Ann Arbor this weekend. Michigan was all over him as a junior in high school through the summer. And a little bit of a factoid. Bryce Underwood's former high school coach, whose name is Jermaine Crowell, went to Hillsdale College in Michigan, right? Not necessarily a Michigan fan himself. He got fired for some unscrupulous behavior, whatever it was. A college teammate at Hillsdale College of Derek Meadows' dad. They live out in Las Vegas now, but that's kind of the connection to Michigan, the connection to Bryce Underwood, the connection to Belleville. Meadows actually almost transferred to Belleville from Bishop Gorman High School in Las Vegas as a sophomore to play with Bryce Underwood, to be coached by Jermaine Crowell. Crowell ended up getting fired after that season. It didn't really work out. He remained in Vegas and then committed to LSU around, after Bryce Underwood did. He is looking at Michigan, kind of the team he grew up maybe rooting for a little bit. Is there tea leaves out there that Underwood and Meadows could be a package deal? We will continue talking about that throughout the next few moments. Now, signing day is 4 weeks away, right? So signing day, December 4th, 4 weeks from today. And that's only a few days after the LSU season ends, right? I think their last game is, like Michigan and Ohio State, that weekend, November 30th. So 4 days later, that game's on a Saturday. Then you got 4 days later on December 4th. That is signing day. If their offensive coordinator sticks around through then, which we expect him to, do you think he's going to be able to interview, accept a job at ECU before Wednesday, December 4th, so Underwood will know whether his offensive coordinator at LSU is going to be there or not? We will we'll have to wait and see. But he's an ECU grad. Joe Sloan was a quarterback's coach at LSU the last couple years. QB coach Jaden Daniels to a Heisman Trophy. Now he's the offensive coordinator after the old LSU OC went back to Notre Dame this past offseason. 2008 grad at ECU, and he is rumored to be their number one, if not only, candidate for that head coaching job after they fired the coach a couple weeks back. The timing might line up where Underwood might just say, I'm not signing on December 4th. I'm going to push back a day or two, a week or two, to see if Joe Sloan is still there, and maybe that impacts what he decides to do for his college future. Next up, I have been communicating with a member of Bryce Underwood's inner circle. I'm going to let you know what they told me. But Michigan does have one home game left this year, and if you want to be in Michigan Stadium at home or away or concert tickets or anything else that you want to see, you've got to get your tickets by using today's sponsor, and that is Game Time. It's the app that I use to buy tickets to the national championship game in Houston, so I will always think fondly of Game Time from those memories alone. Game Time has a new feature called Game Time Picks that makes getting tickets to see your favorite teams play live even easier. Game Time Picks filters out the fluff to show you only incredible deals on great seats, so you don't have to waste time searching through thousands of tickets. With killer last-minute deals, all-in prices, views from your seat, and their lowest price guarantee, Game Time takes the guesswork out of buying tickets to events. With the Michigan football season about to end, make sure you're using Game Time to get into the big house one more time this season. Again, last-minute deals save up to 60% by buying last minute through Game Time, and all-in pricing. Plus, you can see a panoramic view of your seat through the app before you buy. Download the Game Time app today, create an account, and use code CHATSPORTS for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. That link is down in the comment section and the description of today's video. CHATSPORTS, $20 off when you download the Game Time app and redeem that code. What time is it? Game time. Let's keep talking Bryce Underwood rumors. Oh, it's so juicy because it's like when they tell you something's happened in the news, Jack, and you're like, I was there. That's not how it happened. You see something happen, on social media. They report it differently, and this one had me perplexed. I'm like, are my eyes not working correctly? What's going on here? So let's take a look at this saga. Dan Leach, rural Michigan, but a radio guy in Michigan, sports talk radio. He tweeted this out, right before kickoff on Saturday. Well, I see if it leads to anything, but number one prospect in the country, Bellevue's Bryce Underwood, is on the field at Michigan Stadium. I was told he would be several days ago. LSU said he wasn't even coming. So, yeah, get right with yourself. Tiger is trying to be a little smart ass there. So here's the picture he put out there, right? I was told that is, in fact, Bryce Underwood from a member of his inner circle. Now, just because he's on the field before the game, I guess that could mean, Jack, that he decided to say, oh, here comes the field. They're about to kick off. I'm out of here. I'm leaving. I just spent all this time going through traffic to get to the field to come on there to not watch the game because sloppy Sam Webb hit the airwaves. Somebody sent me the screenshot, said he'll put up there as a quote from his little message board. While there were several social media posts claiming he was among the recruiting visitors to the Big House, the nation's number one player was not at the Big House Saturday. He says his parents were there, however, and some of the committed players' parents spent ample time with their recruiting hats out, courting them. Okay, let's just connect some dots here. Let's just think about this rationally. If it walks like a duck and it quacks like a duck, it's a fucking duck, okay? Whether Sloppy Sam wants to be lied to and he just believes everything, he's gullible, or he is deliberately misleading you to protect some sort of source, that is a bold-faced lie from Webb. He was at the damn game. Now, could he have left the game afterwards so that maybe the statement's factually correct? So I was talking to, I got contacted about a month ago from someone in Bryce Underwood's inner circle. Let's just call it that to protect the innocent here. And what they told me in no uncertain terms, because I tweeted out on Monday, Webb is lying. Underwood was definitely at the stadium, was definitely at the game, et cetera, et cetera. He said, do me a favor and lay off the Bryce was at the Big House stuff. Just play it cool if you catch my drift. So I'll let you guys interpret that for whatever it means. For some reason, Underwood, his parents, Michigan coaches, somebody doesn't want the greater landscape to know that he was there. Whether he left, whether he stuck around the game, I'm not sure, but he was definitely in the stadium on Saturday. And Sloppy Sam, once again, is a bold-faced liar. One more thing to think about here. And I actually got a couple more notes, things I want to say. So I'm going to talk about this, Jack, and then let's go back to I got one more thing to say on Underwood. I expect a few quarterback transfers out of Michigan starting next month, right? The transfer portal opens mid-December, and I'm not going to put money on this. I'm not going to say this is a guarantee. I'm just going to give you what the vibes, the tea leaves, the back channeling is telling me. Alex Orji and Jaden Davis. I don't think either one of those guys are going to be a part of this program by the end of the year. I think both are going to transfer out. I expect Orji to go somewhere where he, is probably closer to home to Texas, where he can maybe play tight end, maybe play an H-back, different position other than quarterback. And I don't see Jaden Davis being a part of the long-term plans at the quarterback for this program. I'll leave it at that. Hope I'm wrong. Hope those guys have fruitful careers here. But that is what the tea leaves and the vibes out there around this program are saying. So let's go back to Underwood for one more second. He's going to be in LSU this weekend. What is being said out there is there is this is a little bit of inside scoop, is a little bit of reading the tea leaves, is that there is enough intrigue from Michigan and the NIL offer, and hey, this car dealership, this local sporting goods store, this restaurant, this alumni member, this other person, your family, everybody able to come to the game 20 minutes away, that is pulling at the family, that is pulling at the player, that is pulling at those who influence the decision enough. Sees the quarterback situation in Michigan, sees that he could come in and start from day one if that's the plan for Michigan, if they don't go somewhere out and get someone else into the transfer portal, that it's at least better than 0%. And I would say it's 25-30% that Underwood ends up at Michigan now. What has to happen, I think, is I think LSU needs to lose this weekend to Alabama, right? Go down there, have a poor experience. They're not going to the playoff. Okay, cool. And their season will then be over in theory on November 30th, even if a bowl game. So their head coach their offensive coordinator could move fast to get that Eastern Carolina head coaching job before signing day or within a few days afterwards. So Underwood could potentially delay his decision. And then, from the outside of that thing is, Michigan's got to make sure they have a plan in place to show him what the offense is going to look like, what receivers are coming into this program, what running backs, what transfers are coming in next year, so he doesn't come in and quarterback a 3-9 Michigan team that is losing all of their top players. So we're going to see what happens here, right? LSU loses, their coach takes that job. I think that pushes Michigan up into the 60 or 70% range as we get 4 weeks out from signing day. Bryce Underwood, one of the greatest recruiting sagas in the history of Michigan football. One more time for this game on Saturday. Michigan 14.5-point underdogs, 50-point over-under. I don't know what's going to happen in this game, Jack. I think it'd be one of two things. Either Michigan pulls a upset, the likes of which they did against USC. It was an upset at the time. Maybe Michigan was even favored. I don't know. But Indiana or USC was number 11, where Michigan just comes out on defense with their hair on fire, attacks the quarterback, et cetera, and they get up 14-0 or 14-3 or 17-3 and holds off Indiana in the second half. Michigan wins a close one, like 21-20, 20-17. The alternative is that's not going to happen if Indiana wins the game. If Indiana wins the game, it's going to be 48-7. Okay, that's what I'm saying here. So if Michigan's struggling to score in the first half, if they don't go into the lead with the halftime, this is going to be a 48-7 game like they've done to pretty much every team they have played so far this year. And this is one of the things right here, Kurtis Rourke, the quarterback at Indiana, that is starting to irritate me, and I'm fuming and I'm kind of piping out from the ears regarding this Michigan football team, is because I feel like they were quarterback away right now from maybe having a chance to beat Oregon, from definitely beating Washington, okay, from definitely beating Illinois, from not getting embarrassed by Texas. You've got a chance that you're either 6-2, 7-2 right now, or maybe you pull off an upset against Oregon and you're 8-1, but you're right in the thick of the college football playoff. You beat Ohio State, you beat Indiana. You've got a season. You're right there for the college football playoff with a capable quarterback. And don't tell me that Kurtis Rourke was so tough to get that just Indiana did, because he spent the last 5 years at, where was it, Alabama? Was it LSU? Was it even Maryland or Michigan? No. Ohio University, 3-year starter, 5 years in the program. And he had a pretty good career there, right? 25 touchdowns, 4 picks, et cetera. He had a nice, solid career, 8-3 as a starter the last 2 years. Let's take a look at his passing this year. His passing stats, 73%, 19 touchdowns, and 3 interceptions for Kurtis Rourke. And I kind of think about Kirk Campbell, okay? I think about Sherrone Moore. I think about this player coming over in December of 2023, right? Obviously, Michigan didn't know what happened to J.J. McCarthy. Michigan didn't know if Jim Harbaugh was going to be the coach. Sherrone Moore didn't know if he was going to be the head coach. Kirk Campbell didn't know he was going to be the offensive coordinator. But I will say this. Those guys knew, Campbell and Moore, they knew they wanted the job. They knew it was likely that JJ was going pro. They knew it was very likely that Jim Harbaugh was going to go to the NFL. You got to sound the damn alarm if you're Sherrone Moore. These are the two guys, the head coach and the offensive coordinator, are the guys who over the last 2 and 3 years were the offensive coordinator and the quarterback's coach, and you had J.J. McCarthy. You saw what else was around him. You knew the talent level of those guys at quarterback. You knew the talent levels at the receiver, and you said, we like the guys you want, and I think that is coaching malpractice. You look over there. You got a first-year head coach in Indiana, first-year head coach at Michigan. Michigan's first-year head coach is 5-4, and Indiana's first-year head coach is 9-0. Absolutely owned the transfer portal, went out and got high-quality players like Kurtis Rourke, and they are winning the battle of first-year head coaches. They're winning over Michigan. They're winning over Michigan State, who they blew out in their a previous game like this last week, right? And I don't think there's any excuse for that, right? Curt Cignetti is going to be a hot coaching commodity if he wants to leave Indiana after this season. I'm not saying Michigan's going after him, but he used the transfer portal. He was able to assimilate from James Madison to Indiana, took them, completely flipped them around, 26 transfers in, I think like 14 or 15 guys, and the quarterback from Ohio University has put himself right in there as the big Big Ten Player of the Year, in my opinion, so far. And frankly, he's probably going to end up, if they go 11-1 or 12-0, he's going to end up in the top 10 in the Heisman Trophy voting at the end of this season. The fact that Michigan went in the season with Jack Tuttle and Davis Warren, who I think is playing okay, and Alex Orji, is absolutely coaching malpractice. I want to ask some of you guys this question here. 9 games in, plus an offseason where he was a little bit shorthanded of time. Give me a grade for Sherrone Moore as Michigan's head coach. A, B, C, D, or F. I'm going to go C- through 9 games and the offseason. So far, they lose this game by 14 points or more. He gets downgraded to a D. Kirk Campbell's under fire from Michigan fans, from media, maybe even from Michigan players themselves. And the one area that, so we talk about quarterback here. He knew the quarterback role. He was the quarterback's coach last year, the year before. Now he's the offensive coordinator. Is the lack of production of Michigan's wide receivers. I got to put this up there. This is insane. This is after 9 games, folks. This is after 9 games. Say it with me, 9 times. I'll do quick math there, Jack. Let's call that 250, 260, 314 plus 43. So 357 yards, Jack, between Michigan's top 4 wide receivers. Now, Colston Loveland, Max Bredesen, Diamond Edwards, Khalil Mullins. There are other guys in that range, but the guys who are wide receivers on this team, that is the production you've got after 9 games. It is coaching malpractice. It is unacceptable. And maybe they're going to get a 1-year pass. And some people saying fire them both now. Maybe Kirk Campbell will be back as Michigan's offensive coordinator next year. I don't know at this point, right? I am not sure. But you got to ask yourself this question. Is he a victim of bad circumstances this year with the wide receivers that left, what was left behind, the quarterback that left, what was left behind, or was he just lucky enough to coach J.J. McCarthy, and he's always been kind of a mediocre quarterback coach, a mediocre play caller? He got fired 3 years ago from Old Dominion, came to Michigan as analyst. I'm not sure, but we're going to see what he's got. Davis Warren starting for another week here this weekend. Michigan State, Oregon. Now this Indiana game. If you're competitive, if you're looking good, if Davis Warren can throw competent passes and you don't call the stupidest 2 plays inside the 5-yard line like you did this past weekend on 3rd and 4th down, maybe Kirk Campbell has a future here. If Michigan gets blown out, I think we're looking at the final 3 games from Kirk Campbell, Indiana, Northwestern, and then Ohio State. And Sherrone Moore will have to go find a new OC in year 2 in 2025. Michigan has Ohio State, folks. It is 24 days away from Wednesday. So we got to beat Ohio State again. 5 straight seasons without a loss to them, 4 straight wins. Beat Ohio State again. If you are a real one and made it all the way to the end of today's video, give me a bosta down in the comments. Hiring season's over here at Chat Sports. We're here in the holidays, so hopefully Jack and I do a few more videos, more than the one a week we've done over the last month or so. It is the Michigan Football Report. I will see you guys next time. Go Blue.